Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Future Dimensions 360. As you guys know, in our last tutorial we had discussed about class lifecycle method. In today's tutorial we will be discussing in detail about mounting phase of class lifecycle methods. What are the methods involved in mounting phase? What are the sequences of those methods and where to use these methods? So let's go ahead and try to check it out. First of all, we are having a constructor available in each class. This is the first method that we can use to do our things. Constructor method is a special function that will get called when a new component is created. Whenever a new component is created, this method is called. In this method, what we can do is we can initialize the state and we can bind the event handlers. Any kind of events handlers we have in our class, it's best practice to bind them using constructor inside the constructor, and you can initialize your state values inside the constructor. What we should avoid in constructor is do not call any HTTP request or network payload. Any kind of AJAX call, Axios call, we should avoid these kind of things in our constructor. Lastly, when we can bind or initialize the state only when we are calling the super method inside the constructor. When we are calling the super method inside the constructor, after that we will be able to or eligible to access this dot state object. After constructor we are having another method. This is actually a static method that named as get derived state from props. As per React documentation, this is the very rarely used method. The actual way of using this method is only when your state is dependent on the props passed from the parent. Like any kind of props that is coming from the parent and it's dynamic and your component state is dependent on that, in those scenarios you can use get derived state from props when the state of the component depends upon the changes in the props. What you can do is you can set the state in this component. Actually, this component is a pure component and you don't have any access to this dot set state method. So how you can set the state with this method is simply you can return the state object whatever you want to set in your state. Thirdly, again, you cannot, it's not good to do any kind of HTTP request or network call within this method. You have to avoid your AJAX or Axios calls. Thirdly, we are having a render function available. This is the function we are normally using and everyone is mostly like every one of you knows about it because we had used this method a lot in our series. What this method is responsible for, this is the only, by the way, first thing is this is the only required method in class-based components. It can let you read props and state, you can destructure them, and you can return JSX. What you should not do in this component, this method is to not interact with any kind of DOM property. Secondly, you cannot change any state and you cannot do any AJAX call. As this is a pure method, so it will just return the same JSX values that depends upon your state or props. Lastly, after calling of this render method, the React will call the lifecycle method of the children associated with your component. All the lifecycle methods available in the children should call before calling the last method of the current component. Let's go ahead and check the last method. The last method is componentDidMount. This is the actually component that is invoked right after the children components, the method of the children components has been called and the DOM has been rendered. What is best practice for this component is you can call any kind of Axios or Ajax request or network request to load the data and to do your own functionalities that you want to do. So these are the four available method in the mounting phase of lifecycle. Let's go ahead to our Hello World project and try to see how it will work. So what I will do is I will create one component called Lifecycle a.js. RCE React class component we will create, and we will try to import this component in our app.js file lifecycle a. As you see, I had imported that component in my lifecycle a. Let me go to my Chrome and show you. This is the normal component I had imported. First of all, what I have to do is I have to create the first function available in our class based component is we can use rconst to create constructor super.props, and we have access to state variable. I'll say name. I'll be using that later on in the coming videos. But currently what we will do is we will use console.log to verify the rendering one after another of each method. So let me go ahead and say console.log, and this console.log will print out lifecycle a constructor. Okay. TRUCTOR. That's it. So this constructor is being printed out here. The second method we have available is get derived state from static get derived state from props. Sorry, the method available is get derived. Wait a while, let me go to my Google Chrome and search the actual word get derived derived state from props. It's get DERI. Let me check why it's not appearing. Get derived state from props is available or no, or it's depreciated. I am not sure about it. Let us check. Yeah, this is available. So I can say static get derived state from props. No, actually this is not available. What React is saying. Yeah, it's available. So this is the get derived state from props. This is very rarely used method. We have to return. We can return null in this one, or empty object we can return, and let's see it's or we can return the same state what we have it, name equals to empty. And here I'll do console.log as well to see like constructor a get derived state from props. Then I have the third one, that is render. I will say this one lifecycle a, and this one should be changed with render. And at the end I'll have componentDidMount, and inside componentDidMount I will create again another log, and that will say lifecycle a, and that is componentDidMount. Let's go ahead to our browser and see. Control Shift R, it's giving me an error. Lifecycle is define an instant and will be ignored. Instead of it's a static method. Let's pass static in the beginning of this, and you guys can see I don't have any error in my console or in my logs. Now let me go ahead and try to reload it. As you guys see, let's just neglect this double. We will be double logs. We will be discussing about it later on. But let's see, like first of all, lifecycle a constructor is rendered. Second method, the render is lifecycle a get derived state from props. Third one is render, and the fourth one is componentDidMount. As we have discussed in this same sequence, the methods are rendering. In our this tutorial we had learned, in our this render method we had discussed the children component of the lifecycle methods are executed before the component did mount will appear into the log or into the screen. So let's go ahead and check it out. I'll go here in my component and I'll create a new file, lifecycle b.js, and inside that one, lifecycle A, I'll copy and I'll paste it here. And what I will do is I'll just copy console lifecycle A and I'll try to replace it with lifecycle B at the same go. So all my component is changed to lifecycle B. Let me go ahead and try to import this one here, lifecycle B, and yeah, that's it. My component is imported. So let me go ahead and try to rerun. You can see, first of all, lifecycle A constructor is executed. Then lifecycle A get derived state from props, then lifecycle A ranger. Now the children component is started. Lifecycle B constructor. Lifecycle B get derived state from props, then lifecycle B ranger, and then componentDidMount lifecycle B at the end componentDidMount of lifecycle A. So this is the sequence how our mounting phase will work. I hope you guys understand the sequences of mounting phase and the methods of mounting phase, where to use it. In case of any question, don't forget, please don't hesitate to comment us or contact us. Don't forget to like and subscribe our channel. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.